I was at the hello people. Give me 1 second. So you could always listen to the music that I'm listening to. Either Spotify profile should have it, or I think it should be on the profile page. Yeah, let others see what's playing. Cool. I'm gonna pin that message. Here we go. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna start with today's first day. I'm reading the Book of Mormon for you. I've read it myself a long time ago. I think I read it 2 or 3 times cover to cover, or maybe more even. I don't know. I don't remember. It's a pretty good book, if you ask me. And was at the preface to the reader. As many false reports have been circulated respecting the following work, and also many unlawful measures taken by evil designing persons to destroy me, and also the work I would inform you that I translated by the gift and power of God, and caused to be written 116 pages, the which I took from the book of Lehi, which was an account abridged from the plates of Lehi by the hand of woman, which that account some person or persons have stolen and kept from me, notwithstanding my utmost exertions to recover it again, and being commanded of the Lord that I should not translate the same over again, for Satan had put it into their hearts to tempt the Lord their God by altering the words, that they did read contrary from that which I translated and caused to be written. And if I should bring forth the same words again, or, in other words, if I should translate the same over again, they will publish that which they had stolen, and Satan would stir up the hearts of this generation, that they may not receive this work. But behold, the Lord said unto me, I will not suffer that Satan shall accomplish his evil design in this thing. Therefore thou shalt translate from the plates of Nephi, until ye come to that which ye have translated, which ye have retained. And, behold, ye shall publish it as a record of Nephi. And thus I will confound those who have altered my words. I will not suffer that they shall destroy my work, yea, I will shew unto them that my wisdom is greater than the cunning of the devil. Wherefore, to be obedient unto the commandments of God, I have, through his grace and mercy, accomplished that which he hath commanded me respecting this thing. I will also inform you that the plates of which have been spoken were found in the township of Manchester, Ontario County, New York. The author. The first book of Nephi, his reign and ministry. Chapter 1. An account of Lehi and his wife Sariah, and his 4 sons, being called, beginning at the eldest, Laman, Lemuel, Sem, and Nephi. The Lord warns Lehi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Nephi taketh his brethren, and returns to the land of Jerusalem, after the record of the Jews. The account of their sufferings. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife. They take their families and depart into the wilderness. Their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness, the course of their travels. They come to the large waters. Nephi's brethren rebelleth against him. He confoundeth them and buildeth the ship. They call the place Bountiful. They cross the large waters into the promised land and sea. This is according to the account of Nephi, or in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, Nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, ye, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. Ye, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. And I know that the record which I make to be true, and I make it with mine own hand, and I make it according to my knowledge. For it came to pass in the commencement of the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, my father Lehi, having dwelt at Jerusalem in all his days, and in that same year there came many prophets, prophesying unto the people that they must repent, or the great city Jerusalem must be destroyed. Wherefore it came to pass that my father Lehi, as he went forth, prayed unto the Lord, he even with all his heart in behalf of his people. And it came to pass, as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire and dwelt upon a rock before him. And he saw and heard much, and because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. And it came to pass that he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the Spirit and the things which he had seen. And being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open. And he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne, surrounded with numberless concourses of angels, in the attitude of singing and praising God, their God. And it came to pass that he saw one descending out of the midst of heaven, and he beheld that his lustre was above that of the sun at noonday. And he also saw 12 others following him, and their brightness did exceed that of the stars in the firmament. And they came down and went forth upon the face of the earth. And the first came and stood before my father, and gave unto him a book, and bade him that he should read. And it came to pass that as he read, he was filled with the Spirit of the Lord, and he read, saying, Woe, woe unto Jerusalem, for I have seen thine abominations. And many things did my father read concerning Jerusalem, that it should be destroyed, and the inhabitants thereof many should perish by the sword, and many should be carried away captive into Babylon. And it came to pass that when my father had read and saw many great and marvelous things, he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as, Great and marvelous are thy works, O Lord God Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, and thy power and goodness and mercies over all the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou wilt not suffer those who come unto thee that they shall perish. And after this manner was the language of my father in the praising of his God, for his soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled, because of the things which he has seen, which the Lord has shewn unto him. And now I, Nephi, do not make a full account of the things which my father hath written, for he hath written many things which he saw in visions and in dreams. And he also hath written many things which he prophesied and spake unto his children, of which I shall not make a full account, but I shall make an account of my proceedings in my days. Behold, I make an abridgment of the record of my father, upon plates which I have made with mine own hands. Wherefore, after that I have abridged the record of my father, then will I make an account of mine own life. Therefore I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shewn so many marvelous things unto my father Lehi, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem, behold, he went forth among the people, and began to prophesy and to declare unto them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him, because of the things which he testified of them, for he truly testified of their wickedness, and their abominations. And he testified that the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of a Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. And when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast down and stoned and slain. And they also sought his life, that they might take it away. But behold, I, Nephi, will shew unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord is over all them whom he had chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty even unto the power of deliverance. For behold, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto my father, yea, even in a dream, and saith unto him, Blessed art thou, Lehi, because of the things which thou hast done, and because thou hast been faithful and declared unto this people the things which I commanded thee. Behold, they seek to take away thy life. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded my father, even in a dream, that he should take his family and depart into the wilderness. And it came to pass that he was obedient unto the word of the Lord, wherefore he did as the Lord commanded him. And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness, and he left his house and the land of his inheritance, and his gold and his silver, and his precious things, and took nothing with him save it were his family, and provisions and tents. And he departed into the wilderness. And he came down by the borders near the shore of the Red Sea. And he traveled in the wilderness, in the borders which was nearer the Red Sea. And he did travel in the wilderness with his family, which consisted of my mother, Sariah, and my other brothers, which were Laman, Lemuel, and Sam. And it came to pass that when he had traveled 3 days in the wilderness, he pitched his tent in a valley beside a river of water. And it came to pass that he built an altar of stones, and he made an offering unto the Lord, and gave thanks unto the Lord our God. And it came to pass that he called the name of the river Laman, and he emptied into the Red Sea, and the valley was in the borders near the mouth thereof. And when my father saw that the waters of the river emptied into the fountain of the Red Sea, he spake unto Laman, saying, O that thou mightest be like unto this river, continually running into the fountain of all righteousness. And he also spake unto Lemuel, O that thou mightest be like unto this valley, firm and steadfast, and immovable in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Now this he spake because of the stiffneckedness of Laman and Lemuel. For behold, they did murmur in many things against their father, because that he was a visionary man, and that he had led them out of the land of Jerusalem to leave the land of their inheritance, and their gold and their silver and their precious things, and to perish in the wilderness. And this they said he had done because of the foolish imaginations of his heart. And thus Laman and Lemuel, being the eldest, did murmur against their father. And they did murmur because they knew not the dealings of that God who had created them. Neither did they believe that Jerusalem, that great city, could be destroyed according to the words of the prophets. And they were like unto the Jews which were at Jerusalem, which sought to take away the life of my father. And it came to pass that my father did speak unto them in the valley of Lemuel with power, being filled with the Spirit, until their frames did shake before them. And he did confound them, that they durst not utter against him. Wherefore they did do as he commanded them, and my father dwelt in a tent. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, being exceedingly and it came to pass that I, Nephi, being exceeding young, nevertheless being large in stature, and also having great desires to know of the mysteries of God, wherefore I did cry unto the Lord, and behold, he did visit me, and did soften my heart, that I did believe all the words which have been spoken by my father. Wherefore I did not rebel against him like unto my brothers. And I spake unto Sam, making known unto him the things which the Lord had manifested unto me by his Holy Spirit. Okay. Well, trippy. Alright, I'm just gonna mark myself here, page 9. Maybe I'll change the font to Times New Roman. Okay, next up is New Testament. Okay, here we go. Acts chapter 9. Meanwhile, Shaul, still breathing murderous threats against the Lord's Talmidim, went to the Kohen Hagadol and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, authorizing him to arrest any people he might find, whether men or women who belong to the way, and bring them back to Jerusalem. He was on the road and nearing Damascus when suddenly a light from heaven flashed all around him. Falling to the ground, he heard a voice saying to him, "Shaul, Shaul, why do you keep persecuting me?" "Sir, who are you?" he asked. "I am Yah-Usha, and you are persecuting me. But get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you have to do." The men traveling with him stood speechless, hearing the voice but seeing no one. They helped Shaul get up off the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he could see nothing. So leading him by the hand, they brought him into Damascus. For 3 days he remained unable to see, and he neither ate nor drank. There was a Talmud in Damascus, Hananiah by name, and in a vision the Lord said to him, "Hananiah." He said, "Here I am, Lord." The Lord said to him, "Get up and go to Straight Street to Yehuda's house, and ask for a man from Tarsus named Shaul, for he is praying." And in a vision he was seeing a man named Hananiah coming in and placing his hands on him to restore his sight. But Hananiah answered, "Lord, many have told me about this man, how much harm he has done to your people in Jerusalem, and here he has a warrant from the head Kohanim to arrest everyone who calls on your name." But the Lord said to him, "Go, because this man is my chosen instrument to carry my name to the Goyim, even to their kings and to the sons of Israel as well. For I myself will show him how much he will have to suffer on account of my name." So Hananiah left and went into the house. Placing his hands on him, he said, "Brother Shaul, the Lord Yah-Usha, the one who appeared to you on the road as you were coming here, has sent me so that you may see again and be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh." In that moment, something like scales fell away from Shaul's eyes, and he could see again. He got up and was immersed. Then he ate some food and regained his strength. Shaul spent some days with the Talmidim in Damascus, and immediately he began proclaiming in the synagogues that Yah-Usha is the Son of God. All who heard him were amazed. They asked, "Isn't he the man who in Jerusalem was trying to destroy the people who call on this name? In fact, isn't that why he came here, to arrest them and bring them back to the head Kohanim?" But Shaul was being filled with more and more power and was creating an uproar among the Jews living in Damascus with his proofs that Yah-Usha is the Messiah. Quite some time after, the non-believing Jews gathered together and made plans to kill him. But their plot became known to Shaul. They were watching the gates day and night in order to do away with him. But under cover of night, his Talmidim took him and let him down under the city wall, lowering him in a large basket. On reaching Jerusalem, he tried to join the Talmidim, but they were all afraid of him. They didn't believe he was a Talmid. However, Barnabas got hold of him and took him to the emissaries. He told them how Shaul had seen the Lord while traveling, that the Lord had spoken to him, and how in Damascus Shaul had spoken out boldly in the name of Yah-Usha. So he remained with them and wept over Jerusalem, continuing to speak out boldly in the name of the Lord. He talked and debated with the Greek-speaking Jews, but they began making attempts to kill him. When the brothers learned of it, they brought him down to Caesarea and sent him away to Tarsus. When the Messianic community throughout Yehuda, the Galilee, and Shomron enjoyed peace and was built up, they lived in the fear of the Lord, with the counsel of the Ruach HaKodesh, and their numbers kept multiplying. As Kepha traveled around the countryside, he came down to the believers in Lud. There he found a man named Ananias who had lain bedridden for 8 years because he was paralyzed. Kepha said to him, "Ananias, Yah-Usha the Messiah is healing you. Get up and take your bed." Everyone living in Lud and the Sharon saw him, and they turned to the Lord. Now in Yapo there was a taramida named Tabika, which means gazelle, which was always doing tzedakah and other good deeds. It happened that just at that time she took sick and tired. After washing her, they laid her in a room upstairs. It is near Yafo, and the Talmidim had heard that Kepha was there, so they sent 2 men to bring him and urge him, "Please come to us without delay." Kepha got up and went with them. When he arrived, he led him into the upstairs room. All the widows stood by him, sobbing and showing all the dresses and coats Tabitha had made them while she was still with them. But Kepha put them all aside, kneeled down and prayed. Then turning to body, he said, "Tabitha, get up." She opened her eyes, and on seeing Kepha, she sat up. He offered her hands and helped her fear. He offered her his hand and helped her to her feet. Then calling the believers and the widows, he presented her to them alive. This became known all over Yafo, and many people put their trust in the Lord. Kepha stayed on in Yafo for some time with a man named Shimeon, a leather tanner. Oh, a little tired. Okay, chapter 10. There was a man named Caesarea named Cornelius, a Roman army officer in what was called the Italian regiment. Give me 1 second. He was a devout man, a God-fearer, as was his whole household. He gave generously to help the Jewish poor and prayed regularly to God. One afternoon around 3 o'clock, he saw clearly in a vision an angel of God coming in and saying to him, "Cornelius." Cornelius stared at the angel, terrified. "What is it, sir?" he asked. "Your prayers," replied the angel, "and your acts of charity have gone up into God's presence, so that he has you on his mind. Now send some men to Yafo to bring back a man named Shimeon, also called Kappa. He's staying with Shimeon, the leather tanner who has a house by the sea." As the angel that had spoken to him went away, Cornelius called 2 of his household slaves, and one of his military aides was a godly man. He explained everything to them and sent them to Yafo. The next day about noon, while they were still on their way and approaching the city, Kepha went up onto the roof of the house to pray. He began to feel hungry and wanted something to eat, but while they were preparing the meal, he fell into a trance, in which he saw heaven opened and something that looked like a large sea being lowered to the ground by its 4 corners. In it were all kinds of 4-footed animals, crawling creatures, and wild birds. Then a voice came to him, "Get up, Kepha, slaughter and eat." But Kepha said, "No, sir, absolutely not. I have never eaten food that was unclean or treif." The voice spoke to him a second time, "Stop treating as unclean what God has made clean." This happened 3 times, and then the sheep was immediately taken back up into heaven. Kepha was still puzzling over the meaning of the vision he had seen when the man Cornelius had sent, having inquired for Shimron's house, stood at the gate and called out to ask if the Shimeon house I'll begin from 17 again. Kepha was still puzzling over the meaning of the vision he had seen when the man Cornelius had sent, having inquired for Shimeon's house, stood at the gate and called out to ask if the Shimeon known as Kepha was staying there. While Kepha's mind was still on the vision, the Spirit said, "3 men are looking for you. Get up, go downstairs, and have no misgivings about going with them, because I myself have sent them." So Kepha went down and said to the men, "You were looking for me. Here I am. What brings you here?" They answered, "Cornelius. He's a Roman army officer, an upright man and a God-fearer, a man highly regarded by the whole Jewish nation, and he was told by an holy angel to have you come to his house and listen to what you have to say." So Kepha invited them to be his guests. The next day he got up and went with them, accompanied by some of the brothers from Yafo, and he arrived at Caesarea the day after that. Cornelius was expecting them. He had already called together his relatives and close friends. As Kepha entered the house, Cornelius met him and fell prostrate at his feet. But Kepha pulled him to his feet and said, "Get up, stand up. I myself am just a man." As he talked with him, Kepha went inside and found many people gathered. He said to them, "You're well aware that for a man who is a Jew to have close association with someone who belongs to another people, or to come and visit him, is something that just isn't done. But God has shown me not to call any person common or unclean. So when I was summoned, I came without raising any questions. Tell me then, why did you send for me?" Cornelius answered, 3 days ago, Cornelius answered, 3 days ago around this time, I was at Mincha prayers in my house, when suddenly a man in shining clothes stood in front of me and said, "God has heard your prayer and remembered your act of charity. Now send to Yafo and ask for Shimeon, known as Kepha. He's staying in the house of Shimeon, a leather tanner, by the sea. So I sent for you immediately, and you have been killed. So I sent for you immediately, and you have been kind enough to come. Now all of us are here in the presence of God to hear everything the Lord has ordered you to say." Then Kepha addressed them. I now understand that God does not show favorites, but that whoever fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him, no matter what people he belongs to. Here's the message that he sent to the sons of Israel concerning announcing Shalom through Yah-Usha the prophet, who is Lord of everything. You know what has been going on throughout Yehuda, starting from the Galilee after the immersion that Yochanan proclaimed. 37. You know what has been going on throughout Yehuda, starting from the Galilee after the immersion that Yochanan proclaimed, how God anointed Yah-Usha from Nazareth with the Ruach HaKodesh and with power, how Yah-Usha went about doing good and healing all the people oppressed by the adversary, because God was with him. As for us, we are witnesses of everything he did, both in Judean countryside and in Jerusalem. They did away with him by hanging him on a stake, but God raised him up on the third day and let him be seen, not by all the people, but by witnesses God had previously chosen, that is, by us who ate and drank with him after he had risen again from the dead. Then he commanded us to proclaim and attest to the Jewish people that this man has been appointed by God to judge the living and the dead. All the prophets bear witness to him that everyone who puts his trust in him receives forgiveness of sins through his name. Kepha was still saying these things when the Ruach HaKodesh fell on all who were hearing the message. All the believers from the circumcision faction who had accompanied Kepha were amazed that the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh was also being poured out on the Goyim, for they heard them speaking in tongues and praising God. Kepha's response was, "Is anyone prepared to prohibit these people? Is anyone prepared to prohibit these people from being immersed in water? After all, they have received the Ruach HaKodesh just as we did." And he ordered that they be immersed in the name of Yah-Usha the prophet. Then they asked Kepha to stay on with them for a few days. Thank you very much. Oh wait, I'm not done yet. Alright, here we go. Genesis chapter 28. So Yitzchak called Yaakov, and after blessing him, charged him, "You are not to choose a wife from the Hittite women. Go now to the home of Bethuel, your mother's father, and choose a wife there from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May El Shaddai bless you. May you make you fruitful and increase your descendants, until they become a whole assembly of peoples. And may he give you the blessing which he gave Abraham, you and your descendants with you, so that you will possess the land you will travel through, the land God gave to Abraham." So Yitzchak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padan Aram. The Laban son of So Yitzchak sent Yaakov away, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Arami, the brother of Rivkah, Yaakov, and Esau's mother. Now Esau saw that Yitzchak had blessed Yaakov and sent him away to Padan Aram to choose a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he charged him, "You are not to choose a Canaanite woman as your wife." And that Yaakov had listened to his father and mother, and gone to Padan Aram. Esau also saw that the Canaanite women did not please Yitzchak his father. So Esau went to Ishmael and took, in addition to the wives he already had, Makhalat, the daughter of Ishmael, of Abraham's son, the sister of Nebayot, to be his wife. Yaakov went out from Beersheba and traveled toward Haran. He came to a certain place and stayed the night there because the sun had set. He took a stone from the place, put it under his head, and lay down there to sleep. He dreamt that there before him was a ladder resting on the ground, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of Yahweh were going up and down on it. Then suddenly Yahweh was standing there next to Suddenly Yahweh was standing there next to him, and he said, "I am Yahweh, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Yitzchak. The land on which you are lying, I will give you. The land on which you are lying, I will give to you and to your descendants. Your descendants will be as numerous as the grains of dust on the earth. You will expand to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. By you and your descendants, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Look, I am with you. I will guard you wherever you go, and I will bring you back into this land, because I won't leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, "Truly Yahweh is in this place, and I didn't know it." Then he became afraid and said, "This place is fearsome. This has to be the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Yaakov got up early in the morning, took the stone he had put under his head, set it up as a standing stone, poured olive oil on its top, and named the place Beit El, but the house had originally been called Luz. Yaakov took this vow: "If God will be with me and will guard me on this road that I am traveling, giving me bread to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return to my father's house in peace, then Yahweh will be my God, and this throne which I have set up as a standing stone will be God's house, and of everything you give me, I will faithfully return 1/10 to you." Okay, I think this is the final chapter. Chapter 29. Continuing his journey, Yaakov came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in a field, and there were 3 flocks of sheep lying there next to it, because they watered the sheep from that well. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and only when all the flocks had gathered there would they roll the stone away. from the opening of the well and watered the sheep. Then why would the stone back? Then they would put the stone back in its place on the well's opening. Sorry, now I'm getting sleepy. Yaakov said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" They answered, "We're from Haran." He asked them, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" They said, "We do." He asked them, "Are things going well with him?" "Yes," they answered. "And here comes his daughter Machal to the sheep." He said, "Look, there's still plenty of daylight left, and it isn't time to bring the animals home. So water the sheep, then go and put them out to pasture." They answered, "We can't, not until all the flocks have been gathered together." And they rolled the stone away from the opening of the well. That's when we watered the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, because she took care of them. When Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Yaakov went up and rolled the stone away from the opening of the well, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Yaakov kissed Rachel and wept aloud. Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news of Yaakov, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, hugged him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. Yaakov told Laban all that had happened. Laban said to him, "You're indeed my own flesh and blood." After Yaakov had stayed with him for a whole month, Laban said to him, "Why should you work for me for nothing, just because you're my relative? Tell me how much I should pay you." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was good-looking and with beautiful features. Yaakov had fallen in love with Rachel and said, "I will work for you 7 years in exchange for Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban answered, "Better that I give her to you than to someone else. Stay with me." So Yaakov worked 7 years for Rachel, and it seemed only a few days to him because he was so much in love with her. Yaakov said to Laban, "Give me my wife, since my time is finished, so that I can start living with her." Laban gathered all the men of the place and gave a banquet. In the evening he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Yaakov, and he went in and slept with her. Laban also gave his slave girl Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her slave girl. In the morning Yaakov saw that he was with Leah, and he said to Laban, "What kind of thing is this that you have done to me? Did not work for you for Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" Laban answered, "In our place, that isn't how it's done to give the younger daughter before the firstborn. Finish the marriage week of this one, and we'll give you the other one also in exchange for the work you will do for me during yet another 7 years." Yaakov agreed to this, so he finished her week, and Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban also gave his daughter Rachel his relative. Laban also gave to his daughter Rachel his slave girl Bilhah as her slave girl. So not only did Yaakov go in and sleep with Rachel, but he also loved Rachel more than Leah. Then he served Laban another 7 years. Yahweh, so that Leah was unloved, so he made her fertile, while Rachel remained childless. Leah conceived and gave birth to a son, whom she named Reuben. For she said, "It is because Yahweh has seen how humiliated I have been, but now my husband will love me." She conceived again, gave birth to a son, and said, "It is because Yahweh has heard that I am unloved. Therefore he has given me this son also." So she named him Shimron. Once more she conceived and had a son. And she said, "Now this time my husband will be joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore she named him Levi. She conceived yet again, had a son, and said, "This time I will praise Yahweh." Therefore she named him Yehudah. Then she stopped having children. Okay, I think that's it from me. Thank you very much. Namaste. Have a good day.